Over the past few years, I've spent an increasing amount of time in the medical cannabis community as both a patient and a researcher. Each time I meet someone new and I hear their story, why they chose to become a medical marijuana patient, I'm reminded of the importance of these stories and how few outside of this community have heard the voice of the cannabis patient. Hello everyone, my name is Regina Nelson, and I'm a medical cannabis patient, a researcher, writer, and currently a doctoral student. I'm in an ethics and social justice program concentrating my research in leadership and the medical marijuana movement. As my studies have progressed and my knowledge has grown, I've come to realize that one of the biggest obstacles we face in this movement is getting patients to share their private voices publicly, and this is especially true when we speak of women. As Laszlo mentions in his book Chaos Point 2012, alternative subcultures remain mostly at the margins of society. And even the medical cannabis movement, which some polls suggest is supported by up to 70% of Americans, continues to be ignored by the establishment and remains demonized in our dominant national discourse. The medical cannabis community is just barely visible, even to like-minded citizens who might wish to better understand or even support the beliefs and values our movement embraces. We can attribute this invisibility to the fact that community members go about their business without trying to convert others or call attention to themselves. Certainly, the vast majority of medical cannabis patients operate this way, and considering that medical cannabis is only quasi-legal in 17 states and the District of Columbia, and that even those states continue to suffer from federal intervention, it's not surprising. After many years of living in concealment, fear of prosecution, and avoidance of stigmatization are only a few of the reasons that contribute to cannabis patients really behaving like this. All that said, voices of change are coming from individuals that are a part of cannabis communities, places where they've connected with others who share a common understanding of what it means to live in a way that allows all people to live as well. These voices are able to be heard at further distances and at faster rates than ever before in our history through our current social media networks. But it's also important that we embrace our local communities. In my opinion, real change greatly depends upon people sharing those private voices publicly. And finding a way to encourage and empower others to share their private voices publicly seems to be a key component to changing our destiny as cannabis patients. And it's the goal of this project. Well, or I should say, these projects. This is actually a request to fund two different projects, but I think you'll see that they're very interconnected. For the first, I'd like to publish a book of medical cannabis patient poems and short stories. The working title for now is From Pot Smoker to Patient, Women's Stories from Within the Medical Cannabis Movement. Why focus on women and their stories? Well, for over 40 years, marijuana legalization has been the argument of men for the most part, noble white men preaching about individual rights, but it's not been a winning argument. Women bring a different voice to this debate. We bring one of care and of compassion. We care about medical cannabis policy because we care about our children. We care about the children for others. We care about our parents. And we care about future generations. My belief is that as women share their stories and publicly demythologize the performative act of using cannabis, they are effectively re-scripting the narrative about what it means to be a cannabis user in our society. And in some sense, they're releasing themselves from the dominant stigmas that are associated with cannabis use that keep us from engaging in our local communities. Further, engaging in the act of storytelling, sharing one's private stories of cannabis use more publicly, for instance, is in and of itself an act of leadership. Even if it doesn't come from a designated leader, the telling of the story itself constitutes leadership. We see this within our community, mothers, grandmothers, daughters, women that are united for cannabis because it's helped someone that they love. Therefore, there's significance in empowering others to share their stories. It builds leadership capacity within our movement. As this project begins, a small group of people that I've been working with editorial and writing skills have agreed to help with the selection of poems, short stories received for consideration. Requests for submission for this publication will be distributed nationwide through medical marijuana patient groups and organizations, much as this funding request is being moved forward. Dispensaries, collectives, using social media, and through any other available means in order to solicit a large number of responses from cannabis patients throughout the country. In fact, you can consider this announcement as the first of many requesting submissions for this project. Submissions will be reviewed, categorized, and editorial assistance will be provided to those whose works are chosen for publication. An estimated 25 or more poems, short stories, or other written works will be included in the final product. Excuse me. AltNet recently published an article entitled "The 6 People You Need to Start a Revolution." The people necessary were activists, intellectuals, artists, insiders, supportive elites, and the masses. This project has as its goal having contributors from each of these categories, as well as having support and fundraising from each of these categories. The first run of this book is expected in the fall of 2013 and will be self-published. Most of the funders of this project will receive signed copies of the first run edition, and over 100 cannabis patient organizations throughout the U.S. will receive free copies. If the funding goal of this project is exceeded, and I hope that it is, I would like to provide copies of the publication to public libraries throughout the United States as one of the goals. You should also note that we'll be requesting submissions for cover art as well. Ultimately, the goal of the project will be to offer low-cost copies of the book for resale and potential fundraising purposes for medical cannabis patient groups and organizations. My personal goals related to the project are not contingent upon profit or even producing an income for myself. Instead, my goal is to offer a creative medium for women to share their stories in a way that can help others understand what it means to be a cannabis patient. And not only do I appreciate your support, women all over appreciate your support. The second portion of this funding request is interconnected but different, and what brings me to this request for funding is that in talking with friends about this project, people I've networked with, people I've met with medical cannabis and other cannabis-related organizations, they keep asking me kind of repeatedly, how can I get in on this? Or how can they donate to help get me started? Well, now, you guys, here's your chance, and I do believe you're going to see how these are interconnected to empowering women to share their voices. I've been following Tom Atlee and other people in community leadership that support a concept I've long found really intriguing. It's about citizen deliberative councils. And citizenship deliberation involves people holding diverse perspectives, talking about public issues in a way that they can all be heard, and that their views can contribute to a deeper shared understanding. The goal of these explorations is to produce decisions, policies, recommendations, sometimes even collective action. And at the very least, they produce greater understanding upon which decisions like these can be based. It's past time that these types of discussions were conducted in the medical cannabis community. And by this, I mean throughout cannabis communities everywhere. If this were occurring, I believe this movement would be much more powerful of a political force and a social force. With this goal in mind, the remaining funds will cover the cost of 2 projects. One is a statewide level project, and the other is a local level project. The first is an open space conference in New Mexico. I'm already working with patients and local leaders there to put together a conference this spring. Hopefully, shortly after the Department of Health names a new director, as the most recent director for the medical cannabis program has stepped down. The goal would be to bring together 40 to 50 influential people in cannabis, state workers, including the MCP director, policymakers, patients, producers, and other concerned citizens to have a serious discussion about and work toward resolving the policy issues within the medical cannabis program in New Mexico. Now, I've chosen New Mexico for more than one reason. First, as I've said, I have local support there. Not only is my oldest daughter there, can I visit my 3 beautiful grandchildren, but I have friends there. I've been a cannabis patient in the state of New Mexico for the last year. I'm just now in transition to California. But I think there's a couple good reasons for using New Mexico. One, it's a state that many other state models are being designed after. Vermont, for instance, was designed specifically after the New Mexico medical cannabis program. And there are flaws within this program. As a patient in the program, I can name a number of issues, but I think it will be better left to a serious discussion of how we can remedy these issues. And I also believe that New Mexico should just be the first of the 50 states that should gather wise community leaders around resolving issues and concerns that are related to cannabis regulation and policy. The second conference is going to be kind of a similar format. It's going to be part World Cafe style, part open space conference, and the location and details for the event are still open. In that, I've had a number of women and women's organizations approach me and tell me they'd like to be my test group for this. Well, I welcome those requests and more. I'm looking for people who can really help support this initiative and really understand the work that's dedicated to this. I want to offer this type of opportunity in communities across the country and largely in non-medicalized states because I feel like they need the most support. I want to help empower women to address issues in their local communities affecting not only public policy but strengthening their local communities. This request for funds will help empower women in the cannabis movement from a variety of directions. First, they'll have the opportunity to contribute to a book that will share the stories of women throughout the movement, helping others understand the importance of our movement, the importance of our story, and the importance of our voices, and helping others see beyond cannabis to care ethics and our need to stand up for not only the suffering in our society, but for future generations. As you look at this picture with me with my granddaughter Tyler, you need to know I don't want my grandchildren to inherit the society we currently live in. Help me empower others to create the new society we want to see our grandchildren live in, one of kindness and compassion, and one that embraces the healing properties of cannabis without fear, retribution, or stigmatization. I know we have a similar vision for the future, and your support can help bring this vision to a reality. This initial funding request will cover mostly traveling expenses, to be honest, and research costs, and the expense involved in hiring some help to get these projects off the ground. As most of you recognize, obtaining funding other than private funding, such as this, for cannabis and hemp-related issues is difficult at best. I know the strength that lies in this movement, within its people, and particularly within its women. Eventually, this project will reach global momentum and begin reaching out to women's organizations worldwide. This is really just the beginning, and it's an opportunity for you to help bring cannabis education. First, to our local communities. Next, to our national community, and later, to our global community, spreading the word on the healing power of cannabis and the environmental and economic benefits of both cannabis and hemp production. Even if you can't contribute to this campaign now, your support is still greatly appreciated. Please share this link via your Facebook, your Twitter, your blog, email, any other means that helps get the word out. I'm hoping to overfund this. I've made a conservative estimate, about $10,000 for the book, and the other $15,000 to begin these other projects. As you will see on my blog, part of this is tied up in other things that might be contributable through the community. And for that, I would appreciate your attention. Please visit me at reginaknelson.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you, and thank you for your support.